Welcome to the Big Success Podcast, cutting-edge conversations on business and personal success, as well as how to level up. Here's your host, #1 business coach in the world, Brad Sugars.
Anna Hemmings has just blown us away with so many great tidbits. You know, when you're looking at someone that has won 6 world championships, Olympic medalist, but in the middle of her career went through chronic fatigue syndrome, was told by doctors she'll never, ever race again. How does resilience happen? How does these things? Anna breaks it down for you and for me and helps us see how success happened for her. And not just, you know, some people, they win a championship, but to do 6 world championships, to do world champion in 2 different events at the same weekend, this is someone who totally understands success. Now, she's not just a speaker and a coach on the subjects of team and leadership today. She really does help us understand the psychology of where success happens. So dive into the Big Success Podcast, follow Anna, learn from her. This is a great episode. Remember, if you want to support everything we do, click that like button, click that follow button, make sure you're subscribed. Here's Anna Hemmings. So Anna, first question, what is success to you? Like, how do you define success?
So success for me has always been, particularly when I was competing as an athlete, about setting a goal, setting a target, having a plan to achieve it, and ultimately achieving the target. You know, you might not always you might not always go according to plan, and you have to be ready to you know, go in a little bit of a zigzag. Sometimes you don't always go from A to B in a straight line, but you have a plan to how you're going to achieve that success, and then success is achieving the goal.
Do you think your definition's changed over time? Like, you know, when you're in high competitive mode versus today, do you think it's shifted, or is it still the same?
So I guess success when I was an athlete was very clear cut. It was very tangible. Yeah. It was like, you know, you know, the goal is to win the world championships. Did we win? Did we not? Did we achieve success? Did we not? Yeah. So it was very, very clear cut. I guess in terms of what I do today, success is a little bit different because I don't go out and win gold medals for what I do, or, you know, things like that. So it's a little bit different. But I guess success for me, like if I'm going out to do a speaking engagement, then success is about having an impact on the audience, having a really positive impact on the audience, ensuring that people have something that they can take away and apply immediately in their life, that I can inspire them, that I can inspire them to do more, to be more, to transform their mindset. And so it's a little bit less tangible, which makes it a little bit more difficult to define whether you've achieved that success or not. But when I walk away from, you know, if I'm doing a leadership workshop or high performing teams, then, you know, it takes a little bit, it's a little bit longer process, but getting to the end and seeing a shift in behavior, in performance of others. And I think today success for me is much more about other people. Whereas in my career, it was, you know, it was about me, it was about my team, but ultimately I was the one on the water, you know, doing the race, or together with a partner. But today my success is much more about the people that I work with and seeing them achieve success.
Let's go back then. When do you think you chose success in life? Was there a specific moment? Was it as a kid? Was it from a coach, parents? Like, where do you think you chose that? Because, you know, going for that level of success, you must have made a decision at some point.
What when I chose my standard of success, do you mean? Yeah. My level? So I, at a very young age, discovered the Olympic Games, you know, sort of 8, 9 years old, and you know, seeing that on the TV, it was the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, watching that, you know, and I was just like, I want to be a part of that. I want to be involved in the Olympic Games. That looks like so much fun, so exciting. So, you know, I was aiming pretty high from an early age. And I guess, you know, even then it was probably just a dream. But quite quickly, I was lucky because my sport was kayaking, and I stumbled upon a kayak club called Elmbridge Kayak Club, and they were a very successful club. They were one of the best clubs in the country. They had athletes there who were on the Great Britain team, who were going off to the Olympics, who were winning at World Championships. And so it became quite apparent quite early on that this is possible. Like, I want to go to the Olympics, and this isn't just something people on the TV do. This is something people at my club who I see regularly every day. So it became more feasible to aim high, because I could see people who were real to me doing that. It wasn't these people who I was just putting on a pedestal who, you know, who don't seem human. So that, I think, made it a little bit easier for me to go. I mean, it was still not everyone in my club aimed at that level and achieved it. That's, you know, but I was like, yeah, I want a piece of that too.
So when you look at success, you must have over the years developed a formula for it or a way. How does success happen in your mind? What's the way it works?
Well, so yeah, there were a number of steps, I guess. It's not just a straightforward thing, but, you know, having a really clearly defined goal is the first thing. So knowing where you're going, why you're going there, and then getting people on board. So I learned, not immediately, but at a certain stage in my career, that no one achieves success on their own. Like, you just, that doesn't happen. And also, there's no gold medal for the person who does it all by themselves. So we don't need to do it all by ourselves, and we are better as part of a team. So we absolutely, you know, 3 minds, 4 minds, 6 minds are better than 1 mind. And so we absolutely need, and I didn't embrace that in the beginning. I didn't learn the power of that until a little bit later on. So absolutely, you know, once we've got that clear vision of where we're going and how we're going to get there, getting a team on board, getting that team aligned to where you're going, and everyone in the team understanding how they contribute to achieving the common goal is really, really crucial. And then, I mean, I could take you through a whole bunch of steps, but it's a mindset for me. It really is a mindset of understanding what it is I need to do to get there, but being almost relentless in your pursuit of that goal. Asking yourself every day, what else do I need to do to be better? You know, for me, how do I make my boat go even faster than it did yesterday? You know, what else do I need to do? And because it's not just one thing, you know, and it's not just one time. Success, winning, it's not just once in a while we do the right things, you know. It's like, yeah, I've got to do the mental training, eating the right foods every day. I've got to stretching, maximizing recovery every day. You know, I can't just eat the right foods once in a while and go, oh, I'll eat healthy again tomorrow. Success comes with hard work and consistency. And so it's about getting the basics right and doing them right all the time, day in, day out, week in, week out, so that you can to achieve that success.
So, hey, let me then flip over, because you know, in your career, you didn't win every time. How do you turn failure or losing or coming second or third into success? What's your formula for that? How do you do that?
So what's really crucial is recognizing that, yes, you're not going to win every time, and that's okay. You know, I was having this conversation with my son yesterday, who's 9. He's going, I've never lost a running race at school. I'm never going to lose a running race ever. I'm like, really? That's not going to happen. No, never going to lose.
Don't you love
and I was like, I love your passion for winning, but let's be real here. Let's not be afraid of losing, because like that's dangerous. Like, it's great to want to win, and, you know, his desire to, like, I'm never going to lose, but that can be dangerous, because then we can be afraid of losing, and then we, you know, don't try or don't push ourselves out of our comfort zone to, I said to him, if you're winning all the time, then you're probably not challenging yourself, and you need to push yourself harder. And actually, if you're afraid of losing, you won't go for the competition that's too difficult. You won't grow, and you won't push yourself, because you're afraid that you know, he's like, oh, I've got a winning streak, you know, don't want to lose it. So then you don't, you know, you've got to fail. Everyone's going to fail, and that's okay, because that's how we learn to grow. So I think that's the first thing about the mindset of recognizing that it's life. We're going to fail. We're going to mess up. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to lose. But don't make the same mistake twice. Don't lose, and come second. So I won 2 silver medals at the World Championships before I won gold, 2 at the World Cup. But not for the same mistake every time. Yes. And so that's really crucial. And so in order to prevent making the same mistakes every time, or to keep learning, then we have to review. So that was really crucial. Win or lose a race, even when I'm really devastated, together with my team or the people closest to me, we would review and we talk about what happened and why did it happen like that, and what went well and what didn't go well, and what do we need to change, what do we need to do differently, what do we need to keep doing, because even if it went well, what do we need to keep doing, but what do we need to do differently? So just always reflecting and being honest. Even when I made mistakes, I learned to try not to justify my performance and instead just acknowledge that I'd made some mistakes, that my speed wasn't enough, that I wasn't fast enough, whatever it is. Yeah. Because without that honesty, we cannot learn. We can't understand how do we prevent the same mistakes again. We don't know what we need to change. Yeah. And then the final thing would be recognizing that it's my responsibility. If things go wrong, there's only one person to look at, and that's me. It's not about blaming my coach or sports science guys or whoever it is. There's only one person to look at, and that's myself, and no excuses. And I think that's relevant across the board. All high performers will take responsibility. They own up when they screw up, and then they look for ways to improve. So that's how we learn.
I love it. You're on the Big Success Podcast. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the Anna Hemmings, and we're going to get into resilience, gold medal performance. How do we handle adversity and keep that consistency?
Join Brad Sugar's Landlord event, and you will quickly see why real estate investing has long been the backbone of serious long-term wealth for so many. That said, so many try and fail at creating wealth because they simply don't learn how. Visit bradsugars.com and attend this program as a standalone or as part of a Brad Sugars' Entrepreneurial University.
And you're back on the Big Success Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Sugars. This is Anna Hemmings' moment. Oh my God, so many great championships, so many gold medals. How do you get that mindset for high performance, Anna?
The mindset for high performance, as I mentioned before, does begin with that attitude of, what else can I do better? And I think it's this constant desire to improve. For me, I had this little acronym, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. That was what I was always striving for. And it was about, and particularly I think when you've already achieved the goal, when you're already winning, when you're already number one, that mindset of, what else do I need to do? How can I keep improving? How can I keep exploring boundaries? How can I keep innovating, going out of my comfort zone? Because no matter how exceptional you are, we can always improve. And so I think that's the mindset that, making sure that everyone around you is constantly curious, looking for new ways to improve. The path to continued success lies in the realization that there's always more to learn. There's always room for improvement. And I think learning is how we improve. So, always being open to learning, always being open to finding new and better ways. Yes, we might have a strategy for success that worked once, but it doesn't mean we need to just replicate the same thing again. So a bit like I talked about, in the review, but just constantly being open to other ways of doing things. And then I would add to that, breaking down the key parts of the performance. So it's never usually one massive thing that makes the difference. It's often lots of small things. And so, we looked at the physical training, obviously, on the water, off the water, the strength and conditioning. We looked at nutrition, we looked at sleep and recovery and technology. And, so all of these things added together can help make improvements. So it was about what are the small improvements I can make in each of those areas. So that constant desire to improve. And I think that's what drove me. I loved the sense of improvement every day, to feel like, yeah, I'm pushing myself harder and harder, and I can feel, I can see the improvement, and I love that sense of achievement, I guess, in improving it. You know, obviously at the end of the day, it's about competing against other people, but every day in training, it was about how can I get that just that little bit better every day. And that's what drove me.
So is that sort of the fundamental of the consistency factor in there?
Yes, yeah, so absolutely. You know, it's about every day looking at, you know, as I said, you know, the nutrition, every day looking at, am I giving 100% in training every day? Am I really finishing every rep in the gym every day? You know, so it really is, high performance comes with consistent behavior, consistent messages to your team, consistent attitude, consistent mindset. Absolutely, consistency.
So you stayed at the top of your game for a long time, multiple Olympics, multiple. How do you handle the adversity, and what's the key to resilience? How do we succeed at being resilient through all of that and staying at the top of the game for a long time?
So I think some of the things that we've discussed already are what help you to stay performing at that highest level: the consistency, the attitude, the mindset, the seeking constant improvement. Those things are key. And also recognizing that we're going to have dips. And, you know, my career, yes, I won 6 world championships between, you know, in the space of how many years, like 8, 9, 10 years. But I also had some big down points. It was a bit of a roller coaster. And I think we have to recognize that that's going to happen. You know, life, you know, we hit bumps in the road, we hit challenges, we fail, we hit rock bottom, we pick ourselves up. So the sustaining that, not just the high level, but the ability to have a longevity, I should say, it's about resilience. It's about the ability to bounce back when things have gone wrong, setbacks, failures, whatever that might be, and knowing that that's part of the journey.
What's your story then? How did you, Anna, get, like, when you go through those down periods, what's the way you get your head back in the game? What's the way you do that? What's your thoughts on that?
So one of the things that I talk about a lot is controlling the controllables. You know, we can't always control the circumstances we find ourselves in. You know, I had a big illness that had me out of the sport for 2 years. And, you know, we find ourselves in a global pandemic, you know, things like, we can't control many of these circumstances, but we can choose how we react. We can choose how we respond. And, you know, there are many things that we can't control. And, you know, so that's really important. But we can choose our attitude. We can choose our actions, our behaviors, our, you know, the way we think, the way we behave. You know, there's so much that we can choose: our energy, who we build relationships with. And that's crucial, you know, when we're facing adverse situations or even pressure situations. You know, I think back to some of the races where, you know, I was the favorite. And when you're the favorite, there's a lot of weight of expectation. People are like, yeah, Anna's going to win. Anna's going to, you know, she's the favorite. She's got this, all of that. And that's hard. But I realized, you know, I worked with a sports psychologist for many years. So I learned so much of this from sports psychology, but I can't control what other people are thinking, what they're saying, what they're expecting. Like, I can't control the weather conditions when it comes to race day. I can't control the competitors and how fast they go, but I can control my preparation leading up to race day, how much I rest and recover and what I eat and sleep. And then come race day, I can control my race plan, my strategy for the race. I can control how fast I make my boat go. So, and that's empowering, you know, when we're facing adverse situations that we don't like, or any kind of setback, there'll be things that are happening around you that you can't control. So we focus our attention on where I can have impact. Who can I influence? What systems can I change? What can I do in my communication, or whatever it might be? My attitude is where we focus our attention.
So let's flip it over for a second. You had to build a team, not just to get to the championships, but then when you hit chronic fatigue, building yourself back up and winning more championships. When you teach how to build a high performance team, what are some of the fundamentals that we can take away from your teachings?
So at the absolute foundation of any high performing team is trust. Really, that's where we have to begin. And I know that from the work that I've done in business, but I've also been in teams in sport where there wasn't trust, and it didn't work. And I've been in teams where, and I know the power of teamwork because I've been in teams where, so I raced in the kayak K4. And I was in one year where we were in a team and there were 4 girls in that boat who were the 4 fastest in the country. And we didn't make the best boat. We didn't make the fastest 4 because there was the teamwork, the cohesion, the trust wasn't there. And there'd be 4 other girls from another country who were not as quick as us 4 individually, but were a better unit. And teamwork beats talent every time. And it starts with trust. And it starts with the ability to be vulnerable with each other, to know that I can put my hand up and say, do you know what? I don't understand. I don't know why we're doing this, or, I don't agree, or, I made a mistake, all of that, knowing that I won't be judged, knowing that it won't be held against me, that it's okay if I show a weakness. Which is a big thing in sport, showing a weakness. We just don't do that. It's like game face on. But if you want to build trust in the team, you have to do that. And you have to know that there's no judgment here. And every voice is going to be heard and listened to. So that's really crucial for building the relationships in the team. And knowing, if you're sitting on the start line of the World Championships, Olympic Games, I need to know that you've got my back. I need to be able to share with you that I'm feeling nervous and that's okay. Or if I make a mistake in the heats, I got to own it and it's okay. No one's going to judge me. I've got to put my hand up and admit that so we can discuss it and we can work through it for the semis. So we don't make the same mistake again. It's that kind of trust that is so crucial in a team.
Love it. You're on the Big Success Podcast. Anna Hemmings is going to bring us back and talk about going from good to great.
Anna Hemmings is Britain's most successful female marathon kayaker with a staggering 11 world and European championship medals, 9 of them gold. She is now a leading inspirational speaker and coach on resilience and high performance. To learn more about Anna Hemmings, please visit annahemmings.com.
And you're back on the Big Success Podcast. We're going to look at good to great. Anna, you are possibly the best example of someone that can teach. What's the difference between someone who, sets a good goal and someone who sets great goals? Like someone could go for 1 gold medal, but, multiple championships, world champions 6 times, multiple. How do you go from that mindset to that mindset? What's your thoughts?
So how do you go from good to great? So much of what we've talked about already is really relevant. But I think, some of the things around team are really important. We talked about trust in a team, but one of the things that helps a team to become really optimal is things like what we could talk about healthy conflict. So if we want to get optimal solutions, the best ideas, take the best strategy, then we need to hear from everyone in the team. And we need to be able to have a really passionate debate and discussion, argument even, in a healthy way, not, mean-spirited, destructive, but, be able to challenge, to question one another. The best teams that I was a part of, where we were, arguing about the race strategy and arguing about the training and what was the best way to do this? What's the best way to approach that? And knowing that it's all done with positive intent and that we're just trying to search for the best answers, the best solutions. And you can't do that if there's only, one person who's dominating the conversation. How in teams, they've all, there's 8 of you and there's always 2 or 3 who are the loud ones, but sometimes it's the quietest ones who have the best ideas. And they put forward the idea and it just gets knocked out of the park because they just don't stick with it, or they are not heard even. And if you want the best solutions, we need all of the voices. And if you want ultimate commitment from the team, then everyone needs to feel heard. And that's really important, that everyone's had a voice, everyone's felt listened to, and we're all going to buy in. So that's really crucial.
I want to ask you direct. Most people would be, happy with one world championship or one gold medal. What did it take for you to set the goal of massive numbers, of doing it year after year after year? How do you think differently to a lot of other people?
So I never started out at the beginning with the intention of winning 6 gold medals. I started out with the intention of 1, and I wanted to become an Olympian. I wanted to win medals at the Olympics, which I didn't. My world championship discipline was different to my Olympic discipline. But I wanted to become Olympian. I wanted to win I wanted to be world champion. And it's not until you've won 1, and then even when you've won 1, you don't go, oh, right, I've won 1, I'm going to win 6 now. It's almost like, okay, I've won 1, oh, I'm going to win again next year. Okay, let's win again next year. And so there was never an intention. And there was never I don't think there's any other, there was never an intention to go, right, the record is 5, I want 6. It wasn't really like that. But I guess it was just, back to what I was saying, the same performance is never good enough to win the following year. So again, there's a challenge. There's this, in sport, like in business, the performance levels, the standards are always rising.
Yeah.
No one's standing still. You've got to keep moving forwards. And when I won the first world championships, that wouldn't have been good enough to win the 6th one.
Yeah.
So there was always this, right, if I want to win again, I've got to get even better. I've got to go faster. I've got to go faster next year. I guess at a certain point, there was the big challenge for me was, coming back from 2 years out with illness, I just want to get back and prove to myself that I can win. And then it was like, oh, what if I could do consecutive years? That would be really cool. Back to back. I guess there was just no limits. In one world championships, I won the singles and the doubles in one weekend. So singles K1 one day, 24 miles it was at the time, another 24 the following day. And it was just like, yeah, let's try it. Let's give it a go. I guess there was just I didn't put any barriers in my way that, some people have limiting beliefs about what's possible. And it wasn't just at me. In fact, it was my coach who suggested that at the time. He was like, well, why don't you do, let's do the K1 and the K2. Let's do both. Okay, let's give it a go. And so there's just this
okay, I'll just win 2 world championships. Yeah, okay, it's just a throwaway thing. Yeah, let's do both. Yeah, I love that.
I mean, I didn't know. I knew I felt confident I could win the singles, but doing back to back and doing the doubles, I'd never done that. I didn't know, but my attitude was, let's just try. Let's see what's possible. So rather than saying just, no, it's not going to happen, that's not possible, it was, let's give it a go. Let's see what we can do. Let's see where the limits are. Where are the boundaries? And there was, so it was just, let's just take opportunities. And when he says that, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's figure out a plan. Let's find a way to make it happen. Yeah. It was that kind of attitude, I suppose. Why not? If not me, then
the companies you work with and you coach their leadership and that sort of thing, from Red Bull or British Airways, Amazon, these are big companies. What do you see as their mindset that makes them achieve so much? What's the difference between them and a company that doesn't go massive?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that the think big, the extraordinary goals, I think that the companies that are really leading at the moment are challenging their own beliefs about what's possible, challenging their own limits, setting those stretch targets, right, we hit the targets this year. And this is what I get brought in a lot for, sales teams, we've hit the targets this year, we smashed our targets, brilliant. Now they've stretched the targets again, they're raising the bar. How do we do that? Because that's what I had to do, right? Year after year, raise the bar. So how do we do that? And so it's the companies that are prepared to who also recognize that we don't want to just hit the target, we want to smash the target.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time I worked with a company recently and they're like, yeah, we just about made it to the target. But I feel like if we just about made it, what if we'd made it a bigger target? We probably would have hit that, so the ones that are stretching themselves all the time, believing that there's more in the tank. And the companies that are doing really well are the ones that are doing training for their teams.
Yeah.
The ones that are recognizing that this stuff doesn't just happen by magic. They're bringing in the speakers, they're bringing in the coaches, the leadership development, the team development. They're recognizing that is how we need to develop our people. As much as we need to develop our products, we need to develop our people, because it's our people who drive this. And if our people are not high, a great team is made of great individuals. So every individual needs to be working at an optimal level. And the best organizations recognize that we need the best teams to drive forward our organization. We need the best leaders. And so I think that's a big factor in the ones who are succeeding, excelling.
So let's dive into a quick fire round. Just some quick ones. How do we succeed at health?
At health?
Yeah.
How we see that we need to prioritize it. I think that's the first thing. Not everyone prioritizes their health, and we cannot perform without our health. And I learned that the hard way. So we absolutely need to prioritize our health. And it's easy, when you're on the treadmill of life and work and you've got these relentless goals that you're trying to pursue, that we just, let health slip to the side. But if you want to be, I've been doing a lot of work with the NHS recently, and doctors, surgeons, consultants, registrars, and I'm saying to them, they're very much all about serving others. And I'm saying to them, listen, if you want to serve your patients, if you want to be in surgery and you want to make great decisions, you also need to take care of yourself. You need to be on it. You need to be focused. You need to be alert. You need to make sure you get breaks, take rest, eat, do all of those, which is so hard for them because their shifts are just relentless. But we were talking about finding ways to prioritize that. It should be non-negotiable if you want to be at your best. So managing energy, managing health is crucial. Prioritize it.
You succeed at self-development, growing yourself.
Again, recognize that it's important. Find coaches around you, trainers, people who you can learn from. Be reading, that constant curiosity to learn, to develop, recognizing that there's always more to learn. How do we succeed at it though? Yeah, I think one-to-one coaching, I would say that I'm coach. We can do a lot of self-development, but I think we also need to see our blind spots. We need to have people there to challenge us, to support us and challenge us, to help us with those limiting beliefs, to help us just to have that space to think out loud,
Yeah.
So I think it's so crucial that, I would never have got to where I did in my sport without a coach, without a team of people supporting me, helping me develop. So yeah.
Final question. What's the best advice you ever got, or the best quote you ever heard on the subject of success?
Big one. What's the best advice on the subject of success? It's really tricky, actually. I'm trying to think of the best piece of advice I was ever given. I guess a lot of the advice that helped me succeed came from my sports psychologist, and I think that focusing, I was told, to build my confidence was at the root of success. I think is at the root of high performance, and I was always encouraged to focus on my strengths, to understand what I was great at. Because if I'm going to sit on the start line and focus on everything that I'm bad at, my weaknesses, the things I need to avoid, I'm never going to perform at my best. So if I want to be successful, I need to have my strengths on the tips of my fingers. And, I'm from England. It's a British culture where we don't talk about our strengths. We don't talk about what we're great at. We can reel off our weaknesses really well, but strengths, oh yeah, but that is so crucial if you want to build confidence and achieve at the highest level and perform at your best.
This is a Big Success Podcast. Anna Hemmings has blown us away here today. If you love what we do, support our work, click that button, subscribe, follow this podcast, and make sure you keep on focusing on your success. And that's a Big Success Podcast for today. Hopefully you took a lot of notes, and hopefully you learned a bunch, and hopefully you're going to take action on it and refer people. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button now. Be with us every week on the Big Success Podcast. BS, Brad Sugar's Big Success. Take action. Check the show notes for all the links. I'll give you all the links for everything that your speaker had. Make sure you follow through and keep the learning going. Remember, you got to grow into your goals. I'll speak to you next time on the Big Success Podcast.
You've been listening to the Big Success Podcast with the #1 business coach in the world, Brad Sugars. To learn more about how to achieve business and personal success, as well as how to level up or listen to past episodes, visit www.bradsugars.com.